guys, we're gonna get right into chapter 17. Chapter 16 leaves off where Hugh has a possibility of getting adopted by the Quincy's. And so chapter 17, a stranger visits Briarlane. Uh-oh. All right, here we go. Ethan turned 9 in November. He decided he really enjoyed school. I might even be a teacher, so I can go to school for the rest of my life, he confided to Burr. Oops. Okay. What about being a farmer? Bert inquired. You said that's what you would like the best. I'll do that too. I can farm before school and after school and on Saturdays. Bert said he wasn't sure that it was a good idea. It sounded like a whole lot of work to him. There's more to farming than hoeing the garden and feeding the animals, he reminded Ethan. Are you going to stay here at the Briars the rest of your life too? Ethan surveyed the big orphanage, the barn, and the surrounding fields. I wouldn't mind, since we don't have any place to go back to. This is home. I have a lot of years until Will grows up anyway. I can't do anything else until then. Toward the end of winter, Bert spotted a visitor who was a stranger to the Briars. This was an unusual occurrence, and Bert was quick to report it to Ethan. Did you see the man who came to see Mr. Lehman? Bert said. He came from the city. How can you tell? Ethan demanded. He might have come right from Briarlane. Nope. I've seen all the people in this town dress up fancy like that. He's not one of them. Besides, I heard him ask Otis who the director was here and how to find him. Everyone from town would already know that. The boys peered toward the house from their perch on the front fence. He's staying in there an awful long time, Ethan noted. I wonder if he'll take someone away with him. Not likely. Fathers and mothers come together to choose a kid. This is something else. When the strangers stayed for dinner, the matter took on a new seriousness. The dining room was quiet, and everyone was on their best behavior as they waited to find out what the visit might mean. Mr. Lehman looked around and smiled. These aren't the ordinary sounds of mealtime here, he assured the man. We so seldom have a guest that the children aren't sure what they ought to do. But this does give you the best chance to see them all together. This is a nice group of children, the visitor said. You'll have difficulty deciding which ones will benefit most from our program. We'll begin to advertise in local newspapers at once for the group that will leave in the spring. I suggest that you have your list ready by the end of April so your children can leave after school is out. Mr. Lehman nodded. I'll have 12 names for you by that time. There will probably be 4 or 5 girls in that number. We always have more boys, it seems. The visitor scanned the strong, healthy-looking children with approval. We'll have no difficulty placing your children, I'm sure. It might be well to mention this plan in your next letter to your supporters. Some may come forward with a request. Mr. Lehman thought for a moment. Several years ago, we placed a sister and her little brother with a couple who lived in the West, he said. They may be willing to take another child. Our letter goes to many churches out there, so the word will spread quickly. The visitor seemed pleased to hear this. One of our agents and a nurse of your choice will travel with the children. The agent is your link between the Briars and the family who takes a child. He will check the references in each town and act on your behalf. If there are brothers and sisters in your group, we do all we can to place them in the same or nearby communities. I have a family of 4, ages 3 to 9, Mr. Lehman told him. They must go to the same home. The same home? I can't recall anyone ever taking 4 children at once. Are you sure they can't just be settled close to each other? Mr. Lehman shook his head. It is the expressed wish of the family, and I have agreed to abide by it. There is very little say that these children have over their lives, and I feel I must honor my commitment. I understand, the man replied. It would certainly help if we had a request for that many, but we'll do our best. I believe the Lord will provide a home for the Coopers, Mr. Lehman said. If this is his purpose for them, it will surely be done. The visitor agreed, and after discussing with Mr. Lehman other matters concerning the program, he left. That week, Mr. Lehman sent out a letter to friends and supporters of the home, explaining the plan to be carried out. 12 children from the Briarlane Christian Children's Home will be chosen to travel to Western states on the Orphan train. In each community where the train stops, people will be asked to take a child into their home and raise him or her as a member of their family. The child will receive an adequate education, religious training, board and room, and the care and consideration a natural child would expect from his or her parents. I would urge each of you to consider the possibility of welcoming one of these children into your home. Included in Briarlane's 12 will be a family of 4 children, 3 boys and a girl. This is the largest number from one family to be offered for adoption in the history of the home. Since they must be kept together, I am asking that you help us by making inquiry in your church and among your neighbors about a family willing to accept these children. Please watch your local newspaper for the dates that the Orphan train will arrive in your community. Very shortly after this announcement was sent, the children at the home were told of the upcoming event. There was great excitement as they listened to Mr. Lehman explain the plan. Most of them had seen the train that came through Briarlane on the trip between New York and Chicago, but no one had ever ridden on one. You mean we get to ride to Chicago and someone will take us home with them? Philip asked. That's right, Mr. Lehman assured him, but you'll have to go past Chicago. Another train will take you farther west. He held up a large map of the United States. The Orphan train will go through Missouri, Iowa, Nebraska, and Kansas. There was silence as the boys and girls took this in. It was hard to believe that such a thing could be possible. How many of us will get to go, Mr. Lehman? Was the most common question. 12 of you will leave when school is out, he replied. More will be ready to go at the end of the summer. Bert looked troubled. What if our folks come for us after we're gone? If that should happen, I will know exactly where you are and will let you know at once. No one will be sent on the train from Briarlane unless he or she really wants to go, Mr. Lehman assured them. Riley was excited about the trip. I never thought I'd get adopted, seeing as I'm so old. Are you sure they want big fellows like me? Perfectly sure, Riley. You'll be apprenticed, and when you're 17, you may stay there and earn wages, or you may go out on your own, just as you would if you remained here. The nice thing will be a family of your own. Maybe we won't like our family, someone ventured. Then you won't have to stay, Mr. Lehman said. I won't leave you in a home where you're unhappy. You'll be given another place, or you may come back here. The children couldn't imagine not being happy in a real home with real parents. But some of them did have fears about leaving Briarlane. What will we do without Matron? Betsy asked. Matron will be traveling with you, Mr. Lehman told her. She will stay with you until you are in your new homes. Then you'll have a mama and a papa to look after you. Not all orphans are fortunate enough to have a new life offered to them. Some of you have waited a long time to be adopted, and I'm happy to see you get this chance. As they talked this over among themselves, most everyone agreed that it would be a great adventure. The little ones who weren't yet in school knew that something unusual was going to happen, but they weren't old enough to remember what a family was like. They had ever been part of one. The older boys and girls looked forward to having the things they'd only dream about, a mother and a father, possibly even brothers and sisters of their own. But not everyone was anxious to go. When Ethan spoke to Hugh about it, the older boy expressed his view. If I have a chance to work for Mr. Quincy, I'd rather stay here. Hugh seemed thoughtful as he looked out across the field. Mr. Quincy likes me, you know. There aren't a whole lot of folks who do. He thinks I can make something of myself, and when I do, I want to be here where he can see it. How about you? Does it sound like a good idea to you? Ethan poked in the dirt with a stick. I'd like it, but I think Bert is right. Nobody's going to choose a boy who has so much to take care of, and I don't want to go without them, he said fiercely. The boys are still little, and Alice is a girl. Ma wanted me to be in charge. few had no answer to that. And that's the end of chapter 17.